Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to April 16th, 2006, 26th DRB meeting. We will start with the city attorney.
Please speak into the microphone.
Sorry. Attendance?
We'll do a roll call. Ms. Butakaroli?
Here.
Well, this is my old list. Oops. I have to read. Mr. Ascion?
Here.
Mr. Paez?
Here.
Ms. Lewin?
Here.
Mr. Meshberg?
Here.
Mr. Lester?
Here.
Ms. Mindich? Sorry, I'm terrible with names. I apologize.
Thank you. Good morning. Today's meeting of the Design Review Board is being conducted in a hybrid format with a quorum of the board physically present in the commission chambers at Miami Beach City Hall and applicants, staff, and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via Zoom. Those wishing to participate via Zoom may dial the toll-free number, which is 888-475-4499, and enter the webinar ID, which is 822-7394-1924, or log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 822-7394-1924. Individuals wishing to speak on an item must click the raise hand icon if they are using the Zoom app, or dial *9 if they are participating by phone. Before I swear in those who are testifying, I'm going to read into the record the city's notice regarding lobbyist registration. If you are appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, including as an architect, attorney, or representative of an applicant or an objector, you need to register as a lobbyist with the city clerk's office before you speak to the board. You do not have to register if you are speaking only on behalf of yourself. You are testifying as an expert witness, providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information, or you are appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without any compensation or reimbursement for your appearance to express support for or opposition to any item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood associations shall, prior to appearing, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. These rules apply whether you are appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. I will now swear in everyone who is physically present and intends to testify. Virtual speakers will need to be sworn in one by one before addressing the board, so if you'll be giving testimony, please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you will be giving is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So there's nothing on the consent agenda?
No items on consent.
Okay, are there any other business items?
Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes.
Let's see if that was good. Just making sure we go through.
Yeah, no, nothing else.
We can approve all of the minutes. I can't make a motion.
Can I make a motion if I wasn't here March 12th? Probably shouldn't.
For the minutes, is there an issue if she wasn't here to make the motion?
You can make a motion. She's making the
I'll just
motion. Lisa.
Yeah.
A motion to approve.
Lawrence.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Now, for continuances and withdrawals, we have Alton 1414?
Yes, so 1414 Alton, the applicant is actually requesting a deferral. So no action is necessary. The item will be renoticed at a future date. They made some changes that is going to require a revised title. So they're going to be deferring this. No action is necessary on this. So just for members of the public, we will be renoticing this item once it's ready to go.
Okay. So moving on from requests and continuances of withdrawals to continued items, 1691 Michigan.
Yes, DRB 25 1160, FKA DRB 24 1009, 1691 Michigan Avenue. This application has been filed requesting modifications to a previously approved design review approval for exterior design modifications to an existing commercial building. Specifically, the applicant is proposing modifications to the facade, including materials. On September 3rd, 2024, the Design Review Board approved exterior design modifications to the subject project known as the Lincoln. The modifications included, but were not limited to, the following: an overall warmer color palette for the entire project and the incorporation of materials such as decorative metal spikes on the prominent mechanical parapet, fiberglass planters at the corner of Michigan and 17th Street on levels 2 to 5, vertical light sconces in between the horizontal banding of windows and openings, and champagne color perforated metal screening to cover exposed circulation cords and garage openings. The applicant is requesting modifications to the building facades, including materials. The revised designs eliminates the previously approved limestone veneer cladding and fiberglass planters on the main building's elevations, as well as the travertine mosaic wall on the south elevation at the east end of the ground floor. Additionally, the metal screening proposed on the parking garage elevation has been reduced, but it still wraps the southeast and southwest corners to ensure that the interiors of the garage levels are screened from view from Jefferson and Michigan Avenue. The applicant is proposing the repair and paint of the existing horizontal stucco banding and is proposing a new vertical EIFs panels. The walls and panels will have the champagne acid wash stucco finish for texture. Furthermore, the applicant has extended the decorative metal spikes to better enhance the prominent mechanical parapet. The design intent of the modification is to continue the warm color and material palette of the project and ensure the overall horizontality of the facades is broken up by vertical architectural elements to provide depth and architectural interest. Staff is supportive of the modifications as they maintain the general architectural intent of the project and recommends approval of the application.
Good morning, Nicholas Rodriguez here on behalf of the long-term tenant, Arcade Rivani LLC. I'm joined by Robert Rivani, the principal of the entity that manages the building, Jillian Rio, and Marcus Wander from the Rivani team. If we could pull up our digital presentation, please. Thank you very much. So just to orient you as to the building, we're on 17th Street and Michigan and Jefferson Ave. The portion fronting 17th Street is the office and retail building, and then the portion closer to Lincoln Road is a 700 or so space parking garage. This building is owned by the city. It's a public-private partnership between the Rivani entity, who is a long-term tenant. When the Rivani entity purchased the leasehold interest in 2024, the building is kind of dated. It was going through a transition where the tenants were leaving, and then when Rivani purchased the building, they've infused about $50 million into a full interior and exterior renovation, and that's what came before the board a couple of years ago. And if you drove by the building on your way in, that's what's currently undergoing construction at the building now. So this is what the building looked like before construction started. As mentioned, it's a little bit dated. The planters were not in very good shape. They needed some repairs, and this is more detailed on the actual materials. You see the prominent parapet feature on the corner and the diagonal lines on the facade facing the corner. We're keeping those elements, but we're changing the cool gray tones and making it a more warm type of building. So the original approval was for limestone cladding on the facade and travertine on the ground level, as well as a perforated metal screen on the garage. We're keeping the perforated metal screen, but there was an issue with the limestone cladding on the facade of the building. And really it comes down to the intrusiveness of the construction of putting that limestone and the time it's going to take in order to achieve that project. Right now, the tenants are going through a difficult time with construction. It's very intrusive, the noise, it's making it difficult for the tenants to remain in the building. The changes that we're proposing are intended to achieve the same exact effect that you see. You'll see a rendering of what we're proposing, while speeding up the construction process and making it much less intrusive for the tenants that are currently there, so that the building can remain occupied and continue on its upward trajectory that started when the Rivani entity purchased the leasehold interest. So this is a more broadside view of the previously approved project. You see the facade color change and the materiality on the light sconces, as well as the perforated metal screening on the garage. And one element that also changed between the last previously approved project and the current project is the garage ventilation. Originally, it was intended that we're going to take out those ventilation fans. It turns out that wasn't really feasible, so what we're doing is a custom perforated metal screen that's going to blend in with the facade as well. So some kind of cleanup elements and making this project a little bit faster, a little bit more feasible, and Jillian Rio will walk you through in a little bit more detail how the project is going to unfold with the new EIFS panel, and we have a sample here. You can feel free to come and look at it and feel it. It is a lighter material, so it's going to be a lot easier to install. Jillian, if you want to walk them through how that's going to go.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Jillian Rio, I'm the design director for Rivani. I know we had an excellent intro from Nicholas, but I'm going to recap just a little bit of where we are in time. Rivani is a luxury brand. We are delivering a hotel-like experience to office in terms of aesthetics, amenities, and lifestyle. Our existing tenants, in a sense, thought they were hitting the jackpot when we presented where they will be working in 2 years once our project reached completion. We were turning your typical 2001 Miami Beach corner building into a romantic retreat with our stone, sconces, awnings, and the elimination of stark smooth stucco. During our 20-year waterproofing repair, the stucco chipping proved to be so loud that the noise and vibration made it almost impossible for our tenants to work from their offices. With the perfectly valid noise complaints, myself being one of the complainers as my office is on the 5th floor, we needed to truly evaluate the next phases of construction. The next step of anchoring the stone panels to the building's exterior will not only be louder than the stucco repair, but it will also be performed for a longer duration of time. Our incredible team of designers and engineers believe there is no such thing as problems, only opportunities for solutions. With months of searching, we finally found a product that achieved the same 45-degree bevel design and texture of our stone panel and could be attached to the building without drilling anchors. Our EIFS panel, shown here, performs in the same exact manner aesthetically with no installation hardships. This moment of reflection also allowed for our team to reevaluate the facade design and reposition some of the sconces on the new taller panels, thus tying the existing ribbon windows together with verticality, anything to make a chunky building look taller. Some other existing conditions and opportunities we've met during construction include a planter was shown at the top of the building with the crown recessed behind, when in fact the facade and crown are on the same plane. We decided to eliminate the planter instead of adding an appendage. Our garage mechanical ventilation system, we decided to keep as existing to remain. And since we are wrapping the garage openings with a screen, we have had to add perforated panels. We've had to add perforated panels with a larger percentage of opening to allow the fans to breathe in a few areas. This is a sample of the perforated panel, not the correct color. It would be the same exact color as the EIFS panel here in the Roman clay. It's minimal, but necessary. We hope you enjoy the design refinement and ease of construction that we are presenting. We are building the plane as we're flying it, and there are no empty seats available. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're available to answer any questions. And
Yes. I didn't know if you wanted to say something. Okay. Sorry.
Before we reopen public comment, are there any ex parte disclosures? Okay.
I'm going to open this to the public. Anybody here today? Online?
If you'd like to speak online, please raise your hand.
I have a question.
Nobody's hands are raised.
Okay. And close public and open this up to the board. Who would like to start?
Yeah, sure, Chair. I'm sure that the building next door, the apartment buildings next door are also probably complaining with that noise as well, right?
There have been some complaints from the neighbors. Most of the complaints are coming from our tenants.
And how much time is this going to alleviate this change in the construction?
This could alleviate 2 months for our construction process. So that scaffolding would come down a lot sooner.
I want to make sure I understand. So instead of taking and chipping away at the current stucco that is in place in the building from when it was originally built, you're going to attach a sample that you've brought here today, and that will adhere to any wind problems and structural problems.
It's engineered to be fastened to the building, and there should be no issues moving forward.
And let me ask you, when the idea originally was to remove the stucco, what was going to be put on the building facade in lieu of stucco?
It was a stone panel in the same shape as the ephes. The issue with the stone panel is that it had to have numerous anchors into the building, so not only the chipping, but the drilling.
Okay. And I assume there's no sample that can be attached, no eaves that can be attached that can replicate the look of the stone that you originally were going to attach.
That's a great question. We did visit the idea of replicating stone, but the idea of replicating stone, even when you're presenting a porcelain as stone, it's never going to be stone. So instead of lying about who we are and what we are, we decided to create this protrusion in the stucco itself. So we're achieving the texture, we're achieving this shape, but we're not lying about, making fake stone and attaching it to the building.
And what is this made of?
This is ephes. It's a foam solution. It's pretty common for exterior buildings, and it performs great in Miami Beach.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I know you said it was a 2-month timing save. What was the anticipated time to install the stone?
The stone was about 2 months of installation.
Oh, so this will be like very fast?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
one thing I want to add to that, the stone installation will be 2 months, but all the prep work and all the destructive work would be a few months more than that. So probably A to Z duration for stone versus this, a 6-month delay. But it would be 6 months where you would have to vacate the entire building. You would not be able to have anybody operate for 6 months, which with existing office tenants, it's not something we can do.
Okay. And can I ask an unrelated question to the stone? Maybe it's just the renderings. Is the crown now not set back? It's moved up?
Yeah,
Okay.
honestly, that was a mistake in understanding the existing conditions of the building. We always thought that the crown was set back. It is an existing element, but it actually is on the same plane of the facade. So instead of attaching a planter to create that same idea, we said, let's honor what's there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me. Good morning. What is the life expectancy of this stone?
This ephes panel,
Yeah.
I think it is,
Pretty sure it has a 20-year warranty
Yeah,
that comes with it.
I wanted to say 25, but the warranty itself is a little less.
Okay. And an unrelated question. What is your occupancy rate right now?
Oof.
We're proud to say with pre-construction was 90%.
90%. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so-
you're interrupting a lot of.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any comments? Thank you for the presentation and this project, investing into the city with this. I just refamiliarizing myself with it. So is everything being clad in ephes or just the panels with the light fixtures?
Just
Okay,
the
so you're stucco, restuccoing, and then the protrusions are going to be this ephes panel. So the crown, as you were saying, is just stucco, restucco to repaint it. And the planters on the corner are staying or they're going?
We're staying.
Okay, those are nice. I'm familiar with ephes. It's used a lot up in New York. Luckily here we don't have temperature swings because otherwise I'd worry about this panel. And water intrusion behind and then freezing and then cracking it off. And that's what I've had the most experience with. But it is fast and easy and much more affordable, and you can get a good look at it, with, especially when you put the right stucco finish on it, which you guys have already suggested. And I saw your waterproof detail, which looks pretty good, so that it's a caulk joint between it, which I think should last. So I don't see any major issues with it. I know you probably would have preferred stone. It stays true and it's nicer, but I can imagine the cost and just the prep work for it. Is there any EIFS down at the street level?
There is not.
Okay, good.
At what level does it begin of the building?
It begins at level 2.
It's level 2.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to be able to come in contact with it. And the reason why I ask is because people can jab it and scratch it and mark it. So it doesn't do well at like the pedestrian level.
Right. Yeah, it's not on the pedestrian level whatsoever. It's not at the pedestrian level whatsoever. It's on the second floor and above.
And you've seen some other projects that have used the EIFS panels? Because I haven't seen too many down here. I know everyone's used to using just...
Coming from the shopping center world, which was my original, before I came to Miami, we use EIFS all the time, even in cold weather areas, and cracking would be a concern, but we're not concerned with it whatsoever here. And aesthetically, when you're sitting at the building, you can't really appreciate the building from very far away because you have buildings side by side, so you can really only get to the second, third floor from the visual. You will not be able to tell the difference for the most part to the naked eye that it's an EIFS panel versus it's, and we intentionally put this Roman clay finish on it, which is 2 times more expensive than a typical finish, for it to have that movement and kind of disappear and to look more stone-like.
Yeah, the finish is nice. If you just put a regular stucco on it, it would lose its...
It looks like popcorny and looks
Yeah.
cheap and does not look good.
Where else did you say it was used here in this area?
No, I was saying
Okay.
I did it in other shopping centers that I used to develop. I use the EIFS panels.
But here in this area, you have not, this eaves material has not been utilized to the best of your knowledge?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen it in a few buildings. I don't know them offhand, but I mean, I'm driving and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, there, it's going up, you know?
I've
It's-
definitely seen them. I just can't recall what building offhand.
And it's hard to tell after the fact because then it just turns into stucco.
And but it does exist in this area.
One question. At the retail corner of the building, where on the first level, is that a fabric panel going to be used for awning instead of the EIFS?
Yes, it's on the second floor level on the corner. That is a fabric awning.
It's using fabric because it's easier to switch out for retail purposes, or how
No.
come not EIFS?
No, it's not to be switched out. This is it's a fabric that we wanted to add to the pedestrian level. It is just purely ornamental, and it was in the previous approved set.
Okay. Question is what's the moisture risk of this installing this in Miami Beach? Any issues with moisture on this type of installation on the beach?
So with anything that you're attaching to the outside of the building, there's risk of moisture. It's fully waterproofed behind. It is a waterproof solution itself. And design intent of having that bevel, it's not allowing for any water to sit on it either. And like Mr. Meshberg was saying, that the caulking joint between the panel and the rest of the building, it exists. So we've gone through the procedure of making sure that this is fully waterproofed.
Got it.
The mesh that you have there in stainless steel color or silver color, that's going to be what kind of material? Stainless steel?
So that is painted to match the rest of the stucco. It only occurs, I think, in 4 locations on the garage. The idea is for it to slip away into the rest of the stucco. It is sitting next to the perforated design panel that we have in the champagne color. And this element is continuing the horizontality of the stucco, and then you have the champagne band of the openings in the garage. I apologize for not bringing it in the correct color, but this would be in the Roman clay color.
Okay. But the material itself is
It's metal.
metal?
That's the actual one.
And it doesn't rust?
No,
No?
absolutely not.
Okay, so it's a stainless steel type
Yes.
material? Okay, thank you.
And the decorative metal, was something changing on the decorative metal?
I don't believe so. I know in the beginning of the presentation it said that something was, but we didn't change anything
I
there.
didn't see that either.
Yeah.
And you have a drip edge underneath these panels, like in case there's any water intrusion behind it. Like it's, I mean, they're screwed and glued, and if you make sure they butter the backs, it'll be bonded. That's all I would worry about. You don't want them popping off.
Given that this is glued, what is,
And screwed.
and screwed, but what is it for like hurricane proof? Talk to me about that.
So in the system itself, it has the rating of the system being hurricane rated. Then we have our structural engineer who's evaluated and created the detail to also ensure that we have the hurricane rating. Beyond that, I don't know what else could be provided. I know that I don't anticipate anything happening to this building because the system itself and our engineer of record have both agreed that this is okay. I think it's gonna work well. Yeah.
I have one question for planning. In the second page of the document that was given to us, compliance with zoning code, it says that the comments noted shall not be considered final zoning review or approval. Is that, I've not seen that comment before. Are we moving into something different?
No, well, that's pretty standard in
Yeah.
most of our staff reports.
Okay.
We try to do as thorough review as we can for the DRB, but when they come in for building permitting, things tend to change,
Yeah,
or there might be little details
Okay.
that we missed.
So it captures
it's-
those changes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I can make a motion if, okay. Make a motion to approve DRB 25-1160, 1691 Michigan Avenue.
Okay.
Second, I believe I heard Mr. Pies? Yeah. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
Motion
Thank you.
passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See, it's light.
Yeah, very light.
This isn't, not a new application, but 72nd Street is previously approved, modified.
Previously approved, yeah.
Okay.
DRB 26, 1161, FKA DRB 24, 1072, 299 72nd Street. This application has been filed requesting modifications to a previously approved design review approval for the construction of a new 5-story community complex with a parking garage, library, community center, aquatic center, fitness center, retail, multipurpose fields, and jogging track. Specifically, the applicant is proposing to change the materials, design, elements, landscaping, and other architectural features.
Okay, so this is for the North Beach 72nd Street Community Complex. This was previously approved by the board on May 15th, 2025. It's just for those, we have some new members, so for those that weren't here at the time, this is a community complex that includes a 590-space parking garage, includes a public library, includes an aquatic center with pools, includes soccer fields, includes a community center, community gym, and other facilities. It's part of the general obligation bond that was approved by the voters. This is one of the projects that was promised as part of the general obligation bond that was approved by voters in 2018. So the applicant came before the board. They've then since gone into actual construction documents, and they realized that some changes had to be made. to the plans. Some of the modifications are substantial enough that it required coming back to the board. So they're here to request some modifications to the design. I'll go through what those are. Some of them are minor details, others are a little more significant to the design, so I'll just go through those. So the rooftop eyebrow parapet was increased in thickness for wind resistance compliance. The exterior concrete columns that are near the garage entrance were redesigned to be a more robust V shape with a connecting beam. Guardrails along the sides of the facade were replaced with anodized aluminum and continuous vertical fin pickets. The parking garage signage was moved to the top of a column for a stronger architectural presence. This is the entrance to the garage. They added painted beams and metal fins above the mechanical roof enclosure. New metal fin enclosure was added at the northwest monumental stair landing. The north wall garage openings were changed from glass to a perforated metal screen, matching the screen added at the southwest corner near the main entrance. The stucco facade along 72nd Street was enhanced with reveals to break up the broad wall surfaces. An additional window was added on the north walls of the retail space. Though staff does recommend that these be enlarged a little bit more for better street integration. In terms of the site plan was revised to reflect updated grading and elevation changes. The entry plaza on 72nd and 73rd Street and Harding Avenues were adjusted to match the site conditions. The jogging path along Harding Avenue was realigned due to some additional information that was provided by FPL. There's some electrical lines on the perimeter there and some landscaping, so they've slightly revised the jogging path on the southwest portion of the site. And this also improves the street level activation. They've provided additional native plantings along the site perimeter near the jogging path. Most of the trees along Collins Avenue are being preserved. The specimen trees along Collins Avenue, there's sea grapes there. Those are being preserved. That's something that was requested by the board the last time around, and that's the site's being modified to be able to accommodate that. The other thing that they're seeking approval of is the screening of the garage along Harding Avenue. This is going to be an Art and Public Places project. The applicant is seeking for that to be approved. They have an artwork entitled Rising, which has been designed by an artist named Atelier Manfredini, and it's inspired by ocean wave movement. The design is dynamic. It has several layers to it. It's using a screening system called Structure Flex Facades, and then some steel structures and some aluminum framing and a vented mesh. The color palette primarily consists of blue, black, and off-white and a chartreuse green colors. It's a very pretty design, and I'm sure the architects will be presenting it in greater detail. Staff does recommend that it be approved, and it was supported by the Art and Public Places Committee, I believe. Staff recommends that these modifications be approved and that the Art and Public Places screening be approved. Additionally, there's one additional consideration that we have a condition for. The city and the city commission are currently evaluating incorporating the Glory of Old Glory mosaic murals, which were designed by Enzo Gallo. They were previously located on Lincoln Road in the Wells Fargo building that was demolished and replaced with a Citizen M Hotel. Those murals were preserved. The city owns those. Most of those murals were preserved. The city owns them, and the city is considering placing them along the ground level of the building facing the soccer fields. It's the feasibility of that is being evaluated, and the cost of that is being evaluated. If the city commission chooses to proceed with that, we do have a condition in the order that allows for them to be placed there. If the city commission decides not to proceed with placing the murals there and locating them somewhere else, then the design will continue as was initially proposed. So with that, staff recommends approval pursuant to the conditions in the attached draft order. And the architect for the city is here, and CIP is here.
Hi, good morning. Herman Thong, Senior Project Manager with CIP. We're here today with our consultant, Wanamaker Jensen Architects, CGA,
Yeah.
and the artist, Atelier Manfredini.
Hello, good morning. My name is Natalia. I'm with Wanamaker Jensen Architects. Thank you for having us. Am I controlling the presentation?
You should be able to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as Herman said, we're returning back to you to review all the modifications and also discuss and present the Art in Public Places design that Elena has, we've worked with Elena to present. Just a little bit of the history. I know Rogelio's already talked about it, but essentially we're here to discuss really three major elements that were discussed or were mentioned in the recorded order. The sea grapes that were requested to be maintained as part of the project, the substantial modifications that we've had to implement in order to design and create the design of the project, and also the design for the Art in Public Places. Just a little bit of a recap of the project. For those of you who might not be familiar with it, it does take up a full block of the North Beach neighborhood. We'll be replacing the parking lot 92. It is adjacent to the band shell, and it is accessible, will be accessible on all 5 sides. So there's a lot of dynamic and interesting activity that will be taking place. We really see this project as the heart of the community, almost like the living room of the community. So here's the updated hardscape. I'll have Gianno, our landscape architect, discuss some of the items.
Sure. Good morning, Gianno Feoli. It's really difficult to outdo Rogelio. He did an amazing job sort of covering a lot of the points. I think that the critical piece for us to convey today is that as we had to mediate some of the grading issues, some of the running tracks around the area had to be sort of repositioned. So that existing condition along the street is now well harmonized. A couple things that were not necessarily sort of conveyed earlier was that besides preserving all of the sea grapes and the coconut palms and the Bismarckia palms along Collins, we also made an attempt to preserve some Royal Poinciana and sea grape trees that are on the Harding side. We're really hard pressed to try to preserve those as much as possible because that heavy dark line that runs along the south, west, and north is an FPL easement, and they literally wanted everything out of there. Nothing could grow taller than 12 feet. So it was a very onerous sort of restriction that they put on us. So when you look at our planting plan, you'll see that we have a lot of small trees. We're actually pushing the envelope as much as possible to create as much of a canopy there, because one of the concerns was the legibility of that western facade as you're coming down southbound on Harding, at least to try to use the landscaping as much as possible to sort of soften that. So what we did was that on the top left, you'll see the sort of white box. Those are existing trees that we're sort of creating some retaining walls around there and adding a seat wall there with some treated wood that has a lifespan of about 30 years. It's a soft wood that's sort of plasticized and has a really sort of long longevity. It patronizes as normal as wood would, so it's going to have that look and feel. In addition to that, all of our landscaping is mostly native because we are so close to the shoreline. You know, having done work on the beach for many years, we understand the impact of the salt spray and that shear wind. So a lot of our vegetation is salt tolerant and more applicable for sort of the dune. Rogelio had already mentioned about the jogging path being adjusted with regards to the existing grades. One thing that was requested by the board was some level of ground level activation, and some exercise equipments have been placed on the southwest and southwest and northwest corners of the property with some exercise and Vitacourse type equipment to sort of generate as much sort of ground level activity as possible in light of the fitness trail that's going around the property.
Thank you, Gianna. So moving on to the views, I know most of you might be familiar with it. We just want to point out some of the changes, which we think are really minimal to the impact of the design, but just want to point them out to you, the items that Rogelio has already listed. So here you can see we increased the height of the parapet. We've changed the design of the guardrail to be anodized aluminum picket fence. And here, you can't see it in this view very well, but you can see, pointed out the columns throughout. The freestanding columns have been modified to really incorporate better with the required structural needs, but also to implement a nicer, more elegant, cohesive design. So we'll be moving around the project. I'll try to move quickly. So here you can see on this view a little better where we've implemented some new painted concrete beams and aluminum fins to basically conceal the rooftop mechanical equipment. This is the view now looking from Harding and 72nd, again pointing out the concrete beams and aluminum fins. And you can see the guardrail design is basically consistent throughout the entire project, the improvements to the site. In this location, you can also see the trees that Gianna was talking about on Harding's side and along the swales on 72nd Street. This is just a roof plan indicating and showing the location where the aluminum fins and beams are incorporated to conceal the mechanical equipment. This is a view looking south, southeast. Here you can start to see a glimpse of the art, which we'll get into the details of in a little bit with Elena. And also you can see on this side where we've changed the glazing on the north wall to be perforated metal panels. Again, introducing the art as well, which we'll get into in a little bit. So some of the materials have been updated. We've incorporated the flex facade product, not only in the art in public places concept, but also throughout on a few other elevations, which I'll point out. So here you can see the panels just on the ground floor. You can see, with the striping, the blue and white striping, that will also be part of the flex facade. So we've kind of taken Elena's really brilliant design and incorporated it throughout the rest of the project, including a mural on the third level as well. This is elevation on the south. You can start to see the new column design, the V-shaped columns that have been incorporated. And here's a kind of focused rendering on the entry of the building, the main entry of the building with the new V-shaped columns. We've also integrated the new parking garage signage to make it more integrated with the new design of the columns. I'm going to move around the buildings. These are some street views that you can see. This is from Collins and 72nd Street Plaza. So from 72nd Street, directly in front from 72nd Street. This is a view you'll get from Harding Avenue as you're moving north. This is the corner of Harding and 72nd, looking northeast. This is the view looking southeast on 73rd and Harding. Here you can see those vertical stripes is where we've converted the glazing into aluminum metal panels. And this is the view looking southwest from 73rd and Collins. This is the plaza outside of the retail space. And now we'll be moving into the art and public places presentation. So I'd like to introduce Elena Manfredini.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Glad to be here. It's a beautiful project. I think the architect did a great job and was a pleasure to work with. The artwork is called Rising, and Rising transforms the garage facade into a playful, uplifting experience inspired by water and movement. Through vibrant aqua tones and energetic patterns, the artwork animates the architectural surface of the building and really starts to be a presence within the community. Situated near Miami Beach, within a coastal environment shaped by sunlight, ocean breeze, and steady pedestrian and vehicular traffic, we wanted to give the site a strong visibility and also play an important role in the surrounding fabrics. We wanted also to respond to the aquatic center identity. The artwork wants to echo the movement and energy of the pools, the water activities, and offer visual interest from different vantage points, turning the parking lot into a canvas for color, form, and bringing a sense of delight to the community, and enforcing this building connection to water, recreation, and community life. This diagram captures the flow of a wave, and that motion is then mapped onto the facade to guide the overall composition of the screen of the garage. Here you can see the artwork. You can see a daytime perspective for the artwork that wrap in front of the garage and behind the stairs. Going closer to this, you can start seeing the two elements next to each other. The facade one, meaning the screen in front of the garage, and the facade two, the screen behind the stairs. Facade one is divided into multiple layers, so it's not just flat. It actually has a minimum depth, 3, 8, 12 feet. So within that depth, we are creating motion, shadows, interest. It is a close-up to understand a bit more about how we work with the depth and the geometry of the piece, and also to see in a close-up the perforation of the screen itself. And we brought here a sample, and I'll go more into details in what it looks like. And on the other hand, behind the stairs, we're moving into the same motif of colors, but going into paint elements. Also, we wanted to offer a view in the night, because this is also a feature of the art piece. This will be also illuminated in the nighttime, so evening and night will have also a special illumination that will bring to life the artwork and the building and the neighborhood. So this is just an example of how the lighting will happen in front of the building to illuminate as lively as possible this piece of art. Going into the material itself, we are imagining to use flex facades, which is a decorative screening system consisting of aluminum extrusion, which is maybe a sample here if you want to see, is an aluminum extrusion. That tension the fabric skin made of durable PES, and I'll go a bit more in detail on this. It's a turnkey system that can be surface mounted to a concrete structure or also attached to a steel framework. So we're going to have both this condition. Part of it will be attached to the concrete, to span, and part will be framed on metal, and therefore we're going to get some depth into this facade. In terms of performance, the system helps reduce heat and glare while still allowing ventilation. It is also lightweight and designed to withstand extreme weather conditions with low maintenance requirements. It supports graphics and colors, which allows us to develop the facade pattern, and material is fully recyclable, which is also, I think, is an important component of the project. The PES ventilated mesh is selected for the project is a polyvinyl coated polyester mesh with additional protective coating for durability and longevity. In terms of performance, it provides shading and screening while reducing heat gain and maintaining airflow. In terms of maintenance, the material is low and easy to clean surface maintenance. It can be cleaned using standard soap, low pressure water to remove dirt and dust. And the cleaning process is similar to other facade materials, and the frequency is also similar to metal, only basically when it appears to be visually dirty. The system is designed for long-term use with an estimated lifespan of 20 years and works well across a variety of climates. It also meets fire rating requirements and comes with a 10-year minimum warranty. And these are some of the very few of the many actually projects that are already made with this kind of system, and these are the ones that are in Miami. So I wanted to give a sense that this is something that has been used before several times all across the country and specifically in the city of Miami. And these projects include a range of building types from residential to mixed-use developments to parking structures. So I can open now to the questions, if there are any.
Any ex parte disclosures before we open the meeting? Okay.
Anybody have anything to say in public? Anybody online?
If you'd like to speak online, please raise your hand. Nobody online.
Okay. Thank you. We will open it up to the board.
Just for clarification, the art that you just demonstrated, that's going to be on the west facade by Harding Avenue? Okay. And then do you have any samples or pictures of the facade that the city owns from another site that may be utilized? They're considering the utilization on the east side of the facade.
I believe there is a project that is currently being designed with the same system, but I don't believe it's been installed yet.
I'm referring to the CIP notice that there was some artwork that they owned.
Oh, sorry, you're referring to the mural?
Yes.
Yes, we have a rendering of a potential location. If you could bring up the presentation and go to slide 57. So this is a rendering that we put together as part of a feasibility study for the potential locations for the 4 murals.
And it would be at ground level?
Yes, yeah.
And is there any pictures of that artwork, murals, that are being considered?
I do not have them, but we can certainly share them with you.
Does that require them coming back to DRB at a later time?
We have a condition in there that would allow them to proceed should the city commission approve it. I don't know if you recall the building. It had a mural that was Abraham Lincoln, Betsy Ross, I forget the other two.
Where was it?
It was on Lincoln Road. There was a Wells Fargo bank building. There were tiled mosaic murals along the facades of the bank building.
Oh, yes, okay, on Lincoln and Alton.
Lincoln and Alton, yes.
Okay, yes, I remember. Ramiro, I think, Rogelio, Ramiro used to be the, whatever, Rogelio, and I don't know if CIP, in a property zoned government use, what is the required zoning code for permeable area versus non-permeable?
The government use takes on the average of the surrounding districts. In this case, the average, we have to the south, we have TCC, which is the town center or central core, which has no open space requirement, though it does have setbacks. And then to the north, we have, I believe it's RM1, which does have an open space requirement of, I believe it's 60%. So we would take the average of that.
And you don't take the east and west?
East and west is also government use. So,
Okay.
so as far as you, all the way to the water, it's
don't
government
take
use.
that.
Because government use has no regulation. It's,
Okay.
it's basically, you take the surrounding.
But what the permeable area currently is in the east side and on the west side, even though it's government use, you don't take it into consideration in calculating the average?
No, no. We would just take the adjacent zoning districts that are not government use.
So what does it end up being? And where are they in relationship to the required permeable area?
60 plus 100, 2. It looks like it requires 80%. It allows 80% to be paved, so only requires 20% to be open. And they exceed that with the soccer fields.
Yeah, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I have to tell you, we've discussed how some things that come to us, we don't quite understand or agree with. If we require single-family homes to have permeable areas in the back and in the front and on the sides of 50%, it seems to me that government should set the example, the city should set the example, and make the same requirements for government use properties, zoned properties. Because at the end of the day, this area does flood. And the only permeable area is by Collins Avenue. Very small area on the north, on the west, and on the south. Especially when you take into account the walkways that are being incorporated. And this is probably more of a discussion that we should have had May of 2025, and maybe we did, I don't recall. But the walkways, are they permeable material?
Right now, they just show as concrete, but that's something that we could consider using a permeable turf-like material. I don't know if is that something that you think we could?
Yeah, we can certainly look into it.
Okay. The other, I think Rogelio, and I keep on calling you Rogelio.
No, you were right that time.
Rogelio's
You were
right.
right that time.
Okay, it's Ramiro.
But I'll answer
wrong
anything
way.
with an R.
Ramiro was,
Anything
no,
with an R, and I'll
Ramiro
look.
was the deputy to the city manager when I was here. That's why. Wonderful guy, by the way. Anyway, I think this is a discussion for later on. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but if we are a city where we are taking into consideration in single-family homes and even in multi-use properties, that there be a certain percentage of permeable area because of the conditions that surround us, certainly government should take the leading role in that, in its government, lands.
Do you want to see like rain gardens and like a not outlet buffer, but like a I'm sorry? Cistern, like some type of water collection system that's natural.
No, I think there should be more green space.
Yeah.
Not the cistern, we're not in Turkey or anything, but not the cistern. That would be great if they can incorporate one for the collection of rainwater. But I think it should have more permeable, more green space, as we homeowners are required to have.
Sure.
At a very large expense.
Well, this building being LEED, does it have water retention on site for all the impermeable surfaces?
I think the microphone is off. There you go.
Oh, we're handling most of the drainage system with drainage wells. It's what's required for Miami Beach. We do have on-site cistern for collecting rainwater and for irrigation.
I think your point is good. I mean, we don't
I
want
think
to.
it's a discussion for
Yeah.
another, it's too late for this project, unfortunately, as is probably the third point I will bring up, which was brought up at the May 2025 meeting, that this project came before us, and the city was reluctant to continue, city and architects were reluctant to continue speaking with FPL for the undergrounding of wires that go from across Harding Avenue, which is a major traffic street, and yet we're building and spending as a community tremendous amount of money in North Beach and in this property, as we did in the North Beach Community Center, which is to the west of this property that's before us now, this project. And yet we have a laundry line going across Harding Avenue, and all because it's difficult to underground, difficult to deal with FPL. And I understand it's also difficult to deal with the city, but if Homes can do it, certainly a project like this should have had that.
I think most of the local lines are being undergrounded. The issue is the high-tension, long-distance transmission line that runs through the property, which transmits a lot of electricity from north to south. But the local lines are being undergrounded. It's just that high-tension line, there's sort of, the solution is they're going around the block. Right now, it runs through the block because it's a surface parking lot. So they've diverted it so that the power goes around the block. But I understand your concern.
Collins Avenue, my understanding from years ago, is undergrounded. And certainly if we can underground Collins Avenue with all of the building structures that we have on Collins, this is another potential project. And CIP really has to take the role on this to make sure that, it's a good fight with FPL to do their piece of this. It's a shame that it's not, with all the money, I don't even want to know the budget on this project, but it's a shame that we're not undergrounding. We're still going to look like the Carousel of Progress in Disney, where we still have wires running every which way.
I do remember that meeting coming up in May last year where it was requested, and it really is sad that we still are at this point again. Because it really is, if we as homeowners have to do it and we have to adhere to certain things, then, I've tried working with FPNL and they're a little accommodating. So I gotta let you know that we should push FPNL for an undergrounding as well.
And I apologize, your artwork is beautiful and the project is beautiful.
Yes,
and
it
will
is.
be a wonderful addition to the North Beach area.
The lighting of it, of the effect of the Art in Public Places mural. So kudos to that, but really the underwiring was a concern back then, it is a concern today.
Chair.
Does anybody have any questions about the?
I was just waiting to be called. I was just waiting for you to call.
Oh, go right ahead.
Those lines that you're talking about, Ms. Burkaboli, are on the south side of the property?
So on the west side.
On the west side.
Of the Aquatic Center, and it goes from the west side of the property to the east side of the, I guess.
On the south side of the property?
It's in front of
No.
the art.
Across Harding Avenue.
Right.
It crosses Harding Avenue.
Above the
From the youth center to the proposed project, it crosses at the intersection.
And it continues east alongside the property?
It goes, follows the north. It goes from south to north.
It goes
on the
from
west side
south
of
to
the
north
property.
on the west side of the property?
Yeah.
Understood.
And then crosses Harding.
And then crosses Harding. I mean, I concur, but a lot of times the city doesn't do these projects because they don't want to delay, but at the same time, it hurts in the long run. The same thing with having, I don't know, the fields. We were talking about the field is not permittable, the field that's going to be put on the east side.
No,
Is
that should be permeable.
It'll be permeable.
It's going to have wells.
Well, as a perfect example, you say we should, right? But if you go to Flamingo Park and it rains and it's Flamingo Lake, because that whole entire field in Flamingo Park becomes a lake every single time it rains. So you would assume it is, but it's not. So why is it that Flamingo Park becomes a lake on the field?
My thought is because Flamingo Park was done back in 94, 95, and back then flooding wasn't so much of the issue at hand. So exfiltration systems and wells were not incorporated into these projects and into even some of the smaller parks. But this is a new project, and certainly they have the ability to not only add cisterns and wells, possibly do exfiltration systems for what good they are for 10 years, but also increase in the future
Right.
going forward on government property, having them have the same burden as the rest of the city.
I hear you. I'm just bringing it up just in case because sometimes we assume and then things like that don't happen. What is the elements inside of this aquatic center that are under AC, not garage elements? What are the view corridors through these design elements on the outside? Because I kept on looking for the actual floor plans to see how they interact and I couldn't find them on this. Do you have them here? Can we put them up? I see all the exterior, but can you show me an,
I don't think there's anything from the inside looking out.
I'm not saying just the plan itself,
The floor plan.
the floor plan.
Sorry, I think these are all the floor plans that I have at this moment.
I just,
We didn't bring the full detailed floor plans because that wasn't being modified. But we can show them to you. We have the prior approved plans that have them if you need.
I'm just curious to know how the outside design or when you're there, what is that design element for the inside? You know, and there's that retail spot that's on the end. How much square footage is that? What's the look and feel from the inside out or from the outside in? How does that interact? How much office retail space is there between the library, the other side in total? Can you just give us?
There's very limited office space. The only office space is really the aquatics office space. The rest is really community center. There's 2 multipurpose rooms and pre-function space. You have the reception area for the aquatics, but most of that is really taken up by the locker rooms and the requirements for all the locker rooms and restrooms and
So the
storage.
library that's there is how many square feet and what's the interaction between the outside designs and the inside? Do we have any of that?
The library is 7,500 square feet, more or less. The community center is about 5,000 square feet. Aquatic center is 7,900 square feet. Fitness center, 7,900 square feet. And let me get you, I don't have the retail off the top of my head.
Is there any of the exterior art that interacts with the windows and whatnot of these spaces? And how does that look from the inside or from the outside looking in or vice versa?
The artistic mural will be only on the garage facade, so it won't be blocking any of the windows of any of the community space. The community space is primarily looking to the south, to the north, and to the east. And so they'll have windows. They won't have blocked views from any of this.
And that community space is on which floor?
It's on the 3rd floor.
Third floor.
On the 3rd floor.
We designed all the occupied mechanical AC spaces to have views towards the beach. That was the main focus. So that's why a lot of the you see the buildings or the occupied spaces are kind of on the southeast corner of the main parking garage, because we wanted to make sure that every space had a view towards the water.
How is it that I could get my hands on the updated plans or whatever it shows, the AC space in those areas? I would like to see them.
I think the plans, yeah.
The plans are online right now. I mean, you can
Yeah.
look at the floor plans. They're online.
I
on the
clicked
Gmail.
on it, I couldn't find it, but
I think there's a mural on the facade at the 3rd floor in front of the community center on that wall, right? Facing the second pool.
It's not in front of the office. It's actually on the garage wall.
Okay.
The retail area is 5,300 square feet. So it's a small retail bay,
that's in the northeast corner?
northeast corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it multiple?
No, northeast or northwest?
Northeast.
Northeast?
Yeah, so it's closest to the ocean,
To the ocean.
terrace,
Right.
commercial corridor.
Multiple retail spaces?
I believe there's 2 retail bays that can be divided up to 2 retail bays, or it can be combined.
It could be
if you want one
combined,
big
it
one.
could be multiple, could
For
be
a total of
smaller, but-
5,300 square feet?
Yeah.
I guess,
Page 71 shows at least a ground level footprint.
I do think it's a missed opportunity. Well, I guess just to might be too late to comment at this point, but the cafe, like on page 46, I know they added some windows to make it more more retail-like, but it does kind of look like a bit blank canvas without any awnings or
Can we-
light sconces.
Sorry, can you put it up on the screen?
Page 46?
Page 46.
Of their
Sheet 46,
presentation?
the Presentation, I believe.
Yeah, I'll go to the elevations.
Yeah, so I know they added some one-window bay.
So the main focus for the retail space, also just keeping the consistency of the design with the sawtooth concept. And also keeping the budget in mind and trying to minimize glazing in order to keep costs down. We've located a lot of the glazing on the east facade throughout the building in general. One, for views, and two, for visibility from Collins Avenue. So here you can see the kind of focused rendering where you have most of the glazing on the retail facade. So all of these three kind of stepped sections of the building are part of the same retail space.
And on the
All
east
have-
side, I'm sorry, you
On
You guys, I was just gonna say, would the budget be too broken if they added the awning or something else to
At awning,
awning, just something to make it more identifiable as a retail space, because right now it kind of just looks like a blank store.
for signage purposes?
For signage or just as a store.
Well, the idea was to introduce signage, that cafe sign is really a placeholder for whatever
store.
tenant does. We currently don't have a tenant, it's
Right.
being designed as a shell space. So whenever there is a tenant, they can utilize that wall to basically market their space.
Yeah, it's kind of looks like a box right now.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about the commercial space last time, and
No, we did.
they improved it with more glazing, but I still think that you're not seeing that space as you're
Mm-hmm.
driving north because of the plantings in front of it and the stair, like it's limited. If you go to slide page 71, at least we can look at this in plan. And I was just wondering, is there enough outdoor seating for someone to sit like outside and take advantage of whatever future tenant is in here? I know I see a couple of chairs on 71.
That is a recommendation of the planning department that I mentioned, that we do recommend that glazing be expanded to the extent possible.
On the north facade.
That cafe would be for,
Yeah, and what about outdoor seating?
Can-
Like, I don't know, I just feel like you're covered by the stair. You know, you have that, you're kind of niched in there, which could be good wind protection. But is there enough, you know, say there wants to be a cafe, like they want, is there enough seating for people to sit, like you're showing them in the rendering? And I just look at the plan on page 71, and I look at the circulation, and I'm just wondering, is there gonna be, will people be able to take advantage and sit out there? Because, I don't know, that seems to be important to me.
Can you show also the east side, the on the field side, that first floor, is it all parking and just covered with glass wall east?
Maybe you could go to page 71?
Sorry, I'm not sure, I don't see what page I'm on.
Oh, okay, it's the last page, the second to last page.
I'm just trying to see the east facade of the building.
Maybe this is not part of.
This is not the
presentation.
same.
I'm looking at, it's not
This
part of
is
this
not-
presentation,
yeah.
sorry. It says it in red right in front of me, sorry.
What is does it have the page number in the lower right-hand corner? Here's the architectural sheet?
I'm looking at, I'm trying to find
A1.
this, I don't know what the update of this version is.
Let me
And
see.
I'm trying to understand what happens here on this first floor.
So that was where the murals are potentially going to be located. But essentially, that sawtooth wall will be a combination of stucco and the flex facade screen, which is stepping down as it progresses towards the
What's
north.
behind that wall?
It's parking.
Parking.
Yeah.
I just, I'm overall frustrated with this project in general. When you put on a developer hat or a real estate guy's hat on, and you look at this site, the most important side of the site is the east side, right? Here you have your water, you have your views, you have everything there. And there's a community center on the third floor on that site, right?
Yeah, yes, on the
And
third
it
floor.
runs along the whole entire building,
East facade?
east facade?
Not along the entire facade, because a lot of it, one, we're limited with square footage, the footprint of how much actual program space we needed to incorporate as part of the GEO bond. So we didn't really have enough square footage to even cover the whole facade of the parking garage.
Because who's we and why couldn't we do it? I mean,
Well,
I just think that.
The DCP was something
yeah.
that was created many years ago, and it had the requirements
But
of the
I
program.
think on that third floor where you have the community center,
Mhm.
what else do you have facing east?
We have the aquatics, locker rooms and offices, the storage for the aquatics, and the community center.
And those don't lend themselves to having a view, to be clear glass
Well,
towards
they-
the east
They are,
waterway.
they have glass towards, I mean, whatever program was logical in order to have glazing. A massive section of that is the locker rooms, which obviously you don't
You
want
don't?
glass.
Okay. So
on
what
that.
portion of it is glass on the third floor facing east, and what portion is
All the
block?
sections that are facing east, the building has a sawtooth design, so all the smaller sections of the sawtooth design that face east, all of that is glazing. And then also in front of the reception of the aquatics, which faces east, also
the third
has
floor.
glass on the third floor.
On the third floor. I don't know, Rogelio, is there a way that you could put the east facade up on the screen for people to be able to see it? I just think that it's not the highest and best use of the east side of that building not to have either more retail on the ground level, more interaction between the field, the street level, and the ocean side, the east side of the building. You know, I just think that we're leaving a lot on the table. And I think that people are trying to rush this project through because they don't want to delay it anymore and leave it as status quo. But I think it's a poor design to not take the highest value of this building, which is the east side, and put parking spaces behind those windows. I just think it's insane. Makes no sense to me. And I think it's a lost opportunity. I also think there's a lost opportunity of not adding more real estate usage onto that massive structure, whether it's for, you know, a community center for kids or whatever it is, to have highest and best use of this building. This is a massive pool, and we're building a garage and a pool. Two massive pools and a garage and a community center of 7,000 square feet on the third floor that to get to is not going to be easy, and there's 5,000 square foot retail space on the northeast corner, and then having the whole entire wall on the retail level blocked by parking. It's insane. It's insane. I think it's a terrible design. And this has nothing to do with the artistic design, because one has nothing to do with the other. I think it's beautiful, the artistic design that's being done. I just think that we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in building the structure, and it is not the highest and best use for this space, and there's not a developer in the city on the private side that would ever allow this to happen.
Mr. Chair.
Page 44 of the presentation has the eastern facade.
Can you put it up?
It would be SM5. It's after the section, the question section. It's one of the slides after at the end.
That one?
Yeah, there's one that has a close-up.
I mean, we're putting more attention to the north side of the building than the east side of the building for retail. I think it's just crazy.
Sorry, you said it was after the question?
Yeah, after the section that said questions. It's pretty far into it.
hit.
SM, we're close. That's it.
Yeah, so where it says swim is
I mean, look how much attention we have onto the east side, which is the most important part of this building on the real estate thought process. And that's the one rendering we have of this project. I mean, what happens there? What happens on the retail side there? I mean, that's the current design, previous design. So the current design, is that a sidewalk there? What is the design element of that whole entire promenade of the project? And why is it not being featured here?
That's
So-
actually part of the running loop that is running in front of those sections that you're saying should be glazing. That's actually part of the running loop.
So this part wasn't, very few modifications were being requested at this point. So this part was already approved, so that's why it wasn't highlighted as part of this presentation, just because that was already approved in October. That means that we can pull up the plans of what was approved in October. I don't know if we can show them on the screen.
And then
at
we
this-
had lengthy discussions about, do we need two pools, and
Right.
one is so big, and
I hear it. And I just think that it's overkill to have this. We're already on the horse, but I think it's overkill to have this whole entire structure for these two massive pools, on this site, and not incorporate more the ground level to the community. What this building, after so many millions of dollars you're going to be spending on this building just to have pool and a garage, to me it's insane. Like, why are we not, when developers come over to the city and they're in front of us here and in the land use boards, we demand, what is the connectivity for the people? How is that use going to be? How is that going to flow? And then here we have the whole entire facade of the east side of this building have no interaction with the community facing the water. It's a wall to cover parking spaces. It's insane.
Well, it was a requirement to meet 500 parking spaces. It was the only.
I understand. Then I would have built another floor. I don't know, but the answer is not status quo of saying, hey, let's just build a wall and put the parking spaces because we need more parking spaces. So let's take the most important side of the building and make it parking spaces and put a wall in front of it. How do we get here? Like, I don't understand.
Let me add this, and unfortunately, you're correct, and we're on the horse already, and going back and redesigning this, unfortunately, may not be a feasible thing to do. But all these city projects are designed by community, by groups of people, and everybody, including the city, Parks and Recreation, the Parks and Recreation Board, the North Beach Development Corporation, if they're still around, I assume. If not, the residents. Then there's community meetings, and everybody gives input. And so at the end of the day, it isn't totally a design of the architectural firm that's selected, because they have to incorporate all of these elements that are requested. But that being said, what Ms. Racion brings up is that our best feature is the one facing the water. And yet, we have the field there, luckily, because if you put it on the Harding side, those children may get killed. So you have to put it on the east side, on the Collins Avenue side. But then there's so much lack of visibility, even lack of feasibility of the community center and the other facilities next to the field underneath the pool. Then what retail is available is on the northeast corner, which hopefully has proximity to these fields. When these fields are in use, those are the people that would more than likely use that retail, which would probably end up being some form of a cafe, I would think.
Looking north instead of
Yeah.
looking at the ocean.
Instead of looking, instead of opening up to the field.
Right, which
The
which
retail,
is-
most of the glazing on the retail is facing east.
Yeah, but how many feet in comparison to the site?
I understand.
I mean, it doesn't make.
So I'm going to steer the conversation because I think the commercial space is something that we can continue to speak about because it was something we brought up before, and Rogelio was talking about adding more glazing, which I think is needed. I don't know, I feel like there needs to be an exercise of the corner and the seating and how the connection of the commercial to the soccer fields, the connection of the commercial to the seating outside. I don't know if you're gonna be able to sit there and see the water or the band shell. I think that's buffered by plants.
Plants.
Which I like,
And
but
cars.
I just think it could be studied more. I have this in my notes. Since I like the plantings on Collins, but how much square footage of the fields did we lose? And I'm someone who goes to Flamingo, and my kids play soccer, and we are on soccer fields all the time, and this one should drain beautifully if it's built right, even though it is low, so we can't help that. But is there a full soccer field? Is there smaller soccer fields? Do they overlap? And am I gonna be able to sit and have a coffee and watch the kids play soccer without going through a maze of gates and things like that? That's where I'm missing all of that area in this presentation, and I think we can.
I'm talking about the same thing, right? I'm talking about that whole entire East Promenade. Because
And its connectivity to the
imagine
fields and
cafes
the
there, and you're
trees.
watching your kids play soccer while having a cafe and overlooking the field, and whether it's elevated or not. But that type of design element was not thought. I mean, we should have, if this was in Coral Gables, I envision tables and chairs and overlooking the field and the ocean and the water and like what you're spending you're building this mansion, and then you're forgetting the most important side of the property. In my opinion, how do you put parking spaces on the east facade of this building looking towards the ocean? Just doesn't make any sense to me.
Can I take my coffee and go upstairs and sit and catch the breeze and look and watch the kids playing soccer? So anyways, there was a question about the soccer field size and the square footage within that.
So the soccer fields are for smaller. I believe we have one B1s and one larger, which is 3B3. To answer your earlier question, I don't have exactly the square footage that was deducted from the multipurpose field when we included the preserving the trees. It was definitely significant, but it was definitely a requirement that we wanted to incorporate. I think everyone was happy that we decided to keep those trees. I think it's going to add a lot of shade to the multipurpose fields, and I think they're just really beautiful and should be preserved.
Do you think it would help if we, I'm just looking at the east side, and it's all fenced on the sidewalk on Collins. I'm wondering if we could invite breaks in the fence, and on the park that's on the bay side, there's a handful of sidewalks, and maybe we continue with the line from the sidewalk there, so you have a couple breaks in the soccer field, or kind of leading you to the soccer field. I don't know if there's a security issue with doing that, if you had to have a fence.
We're in meeting with the police department. Obviously, they want everything fenced.
Okay.
Right, everything locked down after hours. They don't want access anywhere. So we're pushing back a little bit, trying to keep it open, keep it accessible. Right now, the main Southeast Plaza leads you up and into where you have the main stairs, the main monumental stairs, and you also have the running loop as well. And that running loop really leads you across the east where the multipurpose fields are and up and then turns, but then it also opens up into what is the plaza, the retail plaza, which actually moves under that other monumental stair. So the idea is that, one, we designed the benches into the sawtooth walls outside of the parking garage so that people could sit and watch the soccer. That's part of that concept. We do have a requirement for a running loop, and there's minimum limits requirements, so that's part of the path that it needs to take.
The running loop is, if you're looking at the east, where on Collins Avenue, is the loop outside of the hedges that are being preserved and the
that
sea
sidewalk,
grapes?
I don't know, it's not
If you go to
sharing.
Or is it inside in the fields?
It's up against the building.
It's
Against
up
the
against,
building,
it's up-
okay.
it's actually up
So-
against the building, so
Yeah,
it's covered
Yeah,
as
I see.
well.
So I think what Laura brings up was discussed at the last meeting in May, I think, of '25, that we wanted a break. We had suggested, I believe, a break in the landscaping so that there is some visibility. I understand the need for a gate. If there's a ball on that field, it can't go on to Collins Avenue or a child. But that doesn't mean you have to have all the landscaping that's there that creates a buffer towards the view.
So that running
And
loop.
openness
The
of the
running
field.
loop has a retaining wall, which, it does slope, so we have to have a retaining wall between the multipurpose field and the running loop. But there is a break to allow for access into the multipurpose field.
Yeah, I'm talking more on the Collins Avenue side, where all those sea grapes.
Yeah, it's
So-
almost
the
like
plantings.
Oh, so between the multipurpose field and where the existing trees are, there is no break, there is no fence.
That's what she's saying, that maybe there should be for some activation along that.
some interplay with the, I mean, because we obviously have community area on the beach, we have, I'm sorry, and I wasn't at the prior meeting, but we have community, you know, we have the beach park right there, and we have community tennis courts on the other side, so it's almost like these should work all together as this one swath going east to west of community amenities. So I was just looking at the park that's on the Collins side, you know, they've got sidewalks that are perpendicular to Collins, and, you know, maybe we could, I understand your security concerns, but if we can invite
here's a
breaks,
plan.
you know, to kind of connect the sidewalks, like,
So, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways.
Connect the Ben Shellen Park on the
Exactly.
east side of Collins, to the field at this project.
So,
And right now, it's disconnected because it's covered, the fence is fine. It has to be, I understand, for the wall and for the balls and the children. But all those plantings, is what I think Laura's referring to. Can they be broken up? I understand that the request to conserve some of the sea grapes, but at the same time, there are other issues also that have to be taken into account, and that's the connectivity of this field to the park across the street and the visibility of the whole thing, the openness.
If I could pipe in just with regards to the visibility. When you're driving north on Collins, you're gonna have coconut palms and all the vegetation that's part of the east side of Collins where the band shell is. On the west side, between where all those trees are being preserved, first of all, those trees are being preserved at the request of the community, so it's one of those things that we had to navigate. We're not planting any major shrub beds under those trees. So what you're gonna have is ground cover and lawn. So even when you're at the height of a person driving a vehicle, you're still gonna get sight lines and visibility under the canopy of those trees. The intention there is to raise the canopy. PD likes to have a nice clear window so that they can have good septet visibility. So the intention there is that from Collins, you will be able to have that level of visibility. It's going to be somewhat interrupted with the staggering of the trunks, but you're not going to have beds of shrubs that
See,
are going to impact
we're
that.
looking at A04,
this is a
and it doesn't show what you're explaining. It shows something different to what exists there now, because as we go north on Collins Avenue, yes, there's some sea grapes, but you clearly see the parking lot that's there from Collins Avenue as you're driving north. The way that A4 reflects the landscaping on that Collins Avenue east side of this facility, you have no view. No view because it is all green from ground level to some height. And it isn't just ground cover. If you
Yeah.
go to A4, you'll,
Are
don't-
you
you
in
don't
this
have it.
presentation or?
yeah, it's, I'm sorry, it's,
Because if it's the previous presentation, we did have shrubs that were,
this is the one sent to us for this meeting.
the drawing number's A040. It's number 67 on your slides, but I don't know.
It's back at the end of the presentation.
Yeah, it's towards the end.
I think what you guys are also talking about is activating the.
Exactly,
We
the
understand the
pedestrian.
fence.
Yeah.
But activating the interior, I'm still caught up on where do my kids play a soccer game in these small fields? Is it a requirement by the city to have a full size, or is it up to the discretion? And this could be me only because I have kids that play a lot of soccer, but if this can't be used for rec sports,
Sorry, is this the?
then I'm
image
starting to
Yes.
be more curious, because to your point, this is the community outdoor place that people can use. So it needs to be the most flexible, the most usable, and have a nice connection to the commercial space. So making niches underneath the trees closer to the sidewalk to activate along Collins, if it's that's what I think you're saying, because that's what I'm hearing, would be nice to sit under the shade, so I'm on that side, if I'm able to watch a game. But I do bring up the question, am I watching a game, or am I just, it's just 1v1, where 4 guys are playing against each other that they just got there first? Is this used for, like, City of Miami Beach football club, or something like that, where there's actually rec sports going on?
I mean, soccer is desperately looking for places to be able to house that, right? Because they don't have any spaces and
So, well, in the North Beach area, there's one by Normandy Park where there's also a pool. And there's other smaller ones in some of the smaller parks, I believe, within the North Beach area. I don't think there's any in Flamingo, or there's some small ones.
The Flamingo has
Yeah,
the
which
one
it-
where
yeah.
we go.
The issue that he brings up is that this facility with these 2 big pools, where we already have a big pool in Normandy, we have a big pool at the Scout Rica Youth Center, we have a big pool by Flamingo, and now we're gonna have 2 pools here, so who's utilizing these pools? Is it our high school for their swim matches?
Believe that's part of the intent, that's
Yeah.
part of the goal for it.
We're building it for
that
the
was set.
public school system.
One thing I wanted to note, it doesn't address your concern on that frontage being activated along Collins, where there's parking. There was a variance approved, so that is a code requirement, that all frontages be activated, because it takes the requirements of the town center core, which calls for all frontages to have active space. Given the constraints that were required of this project to have a certain amount of parking, a certain amount of library space, a certain amount, the programming was pretty much set and handed to the consultants that they had to comply with.
I know, but
A variance was granted.
What Ms. Burkaboli had said earlier regarding, what we demand of others, we're not demanding of ourselves, and there's no reason why we couldn't have created our own variance to go up 1 more floor, to add another floor of parking and activate the whole entire retail, but we didn't. And now you have the most important piece of real estate of that property, which faces east, and you're lining it with parking spaces. Just doesn't make sense.
So I don't disagree, but a variance was granted by the board at the last meeting to allow for that to happen, given the site constraints. So, if that variance were not granted, they would have been required to have a depth of about 25 feet of active space fronting Collins Avenue. But there were those site constraints that were imposed. I think the city, given its location next to an RM1 neighborhood to the north, which is a fairly low-scale historic district, I think there were concerns about having too much height. This was seen sort of as a transition between the high-rise area on 72nd Street and the low-rise area on 73rd Street. So I think they didn't want to go too high. I'm not sure what that would have meant for budgeting purposes. But that's, I know it doesn't address your concern, but that was the decision that was made at the time.
I have a separate question, and it's a CIP question. The budget for this project, does it include the equipment for this library, 1,700 square foot or 7,500 square foot library? Does it include the budget for the equipment in the library, the shelving, the books, the computers?
We'll have to double check, but as part of the agreement that we have with the county.
Miami-Dade County?
Yes, I believe
That they are to
is.
pay for it, as
Well,
they did for the regional library.
We include like the furniture, the millwork, but they bring in their computers, their
Yeah.
printers and stuff like that, their FF&E.
And furniture, and their own furniture.
Yeah, so as part of the library system that this city is a part of, and the taxes that go towards the Miami-Dade County Library System, they are supposed to, they meaning Miami-Dade County Library System, is supposed to furnish the entirety of the inside of that library. That means furniture, shelving, computers, and books, as they did in the regional library on 22nd and Collins.
I'll have to go back and double check the agreement, but there is a
Okay,
portion that they're
thank you, if
responsible
you
for.
could.
but we're-
Thank you, I would appreciate it.
Now that we're on the library, we're going to have a library of 7,500 square feet, correct?
Yes.
Okay, currently, the North Shore Library is 15,000 roughly. So we're going to reduce almost 50% when we move over. I don't know about you guys, but libraries for me were a safe place. And that's a safe place for many children there. So we're talking about commercial space and we're talking about this, but we're not talking about equaling the space of a library that is really there for the community's growth and safety.
So I think there's a square footage amounts designated by the county for regional libraries and smaller libraries of this sort. Is he correct? Do we have 15,000 square feet and we're going down to 7,500?
I am right. Yes, I am right.
And what,
So the square footage that was required for this program was part of the design criteria package. And if I remember correctly, it was 7,500 square feet, which had been discussed with the county. And just so you know, we've been coordinating with the library for the last couple of years.
That's really a disservice to
They're
the community, I feel. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's a disservice to the community. You're taking a property that's extremely profitable and they're gonna eliminate that one, probably get sold, build there something, and then we're gonna have a library half the size of what we used
that
to have.
property belongs to Miami Beach now.
Right, Miami Beach will sell it, yes.
I mean, I've been to that library several times. It's not the safest library, but
No.
I mean,
Listen, but it is something that the neighborhood needs. I mean, if you go there, it's children, go, it's not the safest when you have homeless around there, but they're cleaning it up. If we're building this size of a community center, then give something back to the children as well, who are not sports related. I was never a sports enthusiast as a child, but I was into reading, being safe in a community space that I could use as a fortress for me. Thank God for Westchester Regional Library. And I don't think we're doing a service to our future generations by reducing the size of a library while we're talking about commercial space that could be used for a library in the future.
Rogelio, at this point, I think every board member has expressed some amount of concern over a variety of issues, whether it's the interaction of and the openness on Collins Avenue, the retail space, the library, the parking and its location. At this point, as Mr. Acion said, we're on the horse already. So what options do we have as a board in order to move this forward? Is it just simply saying, okay, yes, we agree with what you're presenting today, and then sending a strong message in writing to the commission on behalf, sending something to the commission on behalf of the Design Review Board as to the concerns that we have with all the facets that were discussed here today? What can we do?
So the project is approved. They're here for some modifications. So the only thing before the board right now are those modifications. That's what was noticed, is that the board is here to consider modifications to the architect, to some design constraints, some design issues, materials, elements, landscaping, and some architectural features. So the overall massing of the project is approved. So I don't think that's before the board today, the
Right.
massing of the project, and variances were already approved, and so those continue. So if there are concerns over the overall programming, what this board has done in the past is a motion is made with several recommendations, and that's transmitted to the city commission via letter to commission, where the city commission can take that information and do what they will with it. They can, recommend changes
Yeah.
or
And
proceed.
unfortunately, it's too late for this project, and I don't know of any other public park or government facility that is yet to be done or renovated or reprogrammed. Everything is done. So we have no more space that all of these recommendations can apply to.
I just looked up the North Shore Library. I believe I was told that there was an increase in library space. It looks like the building, according to the property appraiser, is 5,200 square feet. So I believe I was told there was an increase in library space by moving to this area.
Yeah.
I would suggest that the letter is, we did that before for something, I think that's all we can do, but if today, the items in front of us, which we haven't approved that came back to us, we can still try to adjust and make any suggestions with, I'm suggesting that the commercial corner on the northeast side is analyzed for how the connection to the fields and the connection to the space above, how that's used by the people who are, or coffee shop, restaurant, whatever's in there, how that interaction is. I need to blow up and some views of what the outdoor seating is, what the connection to the fields are, and maybe a study of the fields. And I don't know if that's
So do you want that coming back at a future meeting, next meeting?
I would say so.
Okay.
I'm suggesting this, I don't know if anyone is feeling so strong about the fields. I told you why it's important to me, just because.
No, I think it's an
that's where-
important element.
that's where
There's
I
a lot
would
of young
go.
children in that area.
Even though my kids may be older by the time
Yeah,
this is
no,
built.
yeah.
It's what we can try to affect is these items here. I think we never got to your art, which I think everybody likes.
Beautiful.
You know.
Actually, had a.
Okay, maybe.
Sorry.
But addressing the items, the signage to the garage, as long as that's not up too high, that people are gonna be able to see that from afar, that was one thing I had about that, but going through the list of the items that are before us today.
I realize we've gone on a long time. Overall, this project feels like a 1970s community center. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of gathering in community spaces where if you have all these people doing all these activities, where are they taking their brown bag lunch and sitting down at a table and talking with their friends? The library, our uses, the way we use libraries now are very different, and I want to make sure that however it's designed is actually a current way that children study, and with all the use of electronics and the way that for soundproofing, because people are on computers and phones and whatnot, and make sure it's technologically up to speed there. I don't see a lot of shade, a lot of areas where people can, after swimming, sit down and gather with their friends and have a snack or whatever. So I think that is within your control in this design, as opposed to a lot of the issues that are very significant that we've raised. Just viewing it as, if you're going there to use these facilities, how are you enjoying it with your community? I'd love to see more tables, chairs, shade, umbrellas, spaces that are thinking once the activity is over, what you're doing. I just did want to address your art, which is beautiful. I'd like to go back to the picture of the art, and there's visually the green triangles in the art. I don't understand them.
Yeah. So there is a depth into the facade. Is this working? Okay, yes. So there is a depth in the facade. We just didn't want to do a completely flat wall. And so there is a depth to it. And we wanted to show, if you want the idea of a fold, no? That you would fold the facade. And the green is a behind, geometrically speaking.
So just aesthetically, my personal opinion is that the green, you know, we had this beautiful picture of a wave.
Yeah.
And the green kind of stops that flow of the water to me.
Okay.
And it makes this very beautiful art look a little dated.
Okay, we can
to
work
me.
on that. Yes.
And it ruins the flow of the water.
Partially, I think we wanted to work with the architects, and I think actually I have to say the architect has been great in coordinating colors and aesthetic for the entire building, which doesn't happen often, I have to say. In their defense, I've been working on many public art projects, and they've been not only welcoming, but also trying to coordinate on their end. And I think that there is a certain level of unity, I think, in terms of the color choices and material choices that will make this a pleasant architectural project visually all around the building for the facades. And so the green itself, I think, when I entered the project, existed in terms of signage, the cafe.
I see it's
sign.
repeated.
And I felt like the artwork should have at least catched upon certain notes of colors, which I think will bring together the project, generally speaking. And also the fields on top of the roof actually have some of these hints of color. So we are really trying to make sure that everything is coordinated and doesn't feel like one thing is attached and the rest.
I get that. Just the green triangles to me make it look like origami as opposed to a wave. You know,
I can work on that.
juxtaposition, so,
No, you know, we can
for what it's
definitely
worth.
work on that.
Thank you.
Of course.
Do you have any issues with the rest of the building that has the matching color on the undersides of everything?
I mean, I think I get that you're repeating that color. I think it's a weird color, personally. I think it's kind of jarring and not that current feeling. And if you're trying to incorporate even the color of the green of the grass and the trees and the blue of the ocean and the sky, the green is sort of this lime, unnatural color.
Yes, I think I think that was the idea, that this would not just be nature, but you know, it finds itself as a moment of. It's not natural. Yes, I understand. It's a bit fluorescent. I think actually that's the beauty of it, and I think we'll actually work very well with illumination in the night, and we'll have a livelihood. So it was the intention behind it. Probably it's also an issue of taste, but in a way we wanted to have something that popped up differently than the rest. But I, you know,
I'd be interested to see another option. I'd be interested to see another option. I understand art is totally subjective. I just feel like this takes this building that already has this kind of old feeling of old community center in some of the structural ways, and it emphasizes it even a little bit more with the color choice. But
You could suggest that color be evaluated and worked with artists.
Yeah, I'd love to see
I'd call that
options.
the signature color of this building, so it could very well and should be probably evaluated. Was it on all the pictures before? I don't remember.
This part was just like a placeholder in the last iteration. It was just a blue mesh as a placeholder, and one of the requirements was that they come back with the final Art in Public Places project for approval.
But the undersides of the building,
that was
there, right?
That was there.
Those are, you know, the cafe, the underneath.
Yeah, I mean,
of
that's
the
going to
slabs. There is a
reflect
quality
and make
to it.
it's going to give it a nice glow of lime green to everything, all of the white stucco. So
I think that color selected, that's one of the city colors, so in our email signatures, the Miami Beach is always in that green. Those are generally the city colors, the green and blue.
I think it's beautiful, by the way, the green you have.
Do you like?
But I understand.
Do you like the
everybody.
color?
I do. I love it. That's why I kept it. And honestly, they've been very open to this kind of discussions. I have to say the architect has been always like, let's do something together, which is great. So I sincerely liked it. Yes.
Going back to what's in front of us. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, overall, I feel like everyone's saying the main mission of this building was to be the living room of the community. And I feel like in this current state, you don't really want to stay. I wouldn't want to spend all day in this building. I guess I'll go there for my activity and leave. Maybe they can find more ways to make it more of a gathering place, like you said.
yeah, it's too institutional.
Institutional.
Yeah,
There's no warmth, I guess. Or
Yes, yes.
retail place, you should want to spend hours there just sitting and watching.
Yeah, and to your point about safety, a place where it's safe to gather with your friends and hang out, and there's, you're kind of welcomed into it.
Gino, would there be an opportunity in the corner of 72nd Street and Collins Avenue where you have a large lush landscaping area to incorporate some benches or other gathering space in that corner?
The northeast corner?
Southeast corner.
Southeast corner.
If you go to it's actually, you see it on the cover sheet.
Hold it here.
Yeah, there's a lot of specimen trees there in that corner, but is there opportunities between them to have some sort of a gathering space in that area?
The only concern that I have is that a gathering space would need to be ADA compliant, which means that we need to pour slabs. And per the urban forestry standards, we're not supposed to get close to any of the critical root areas of those trees. And because those trees are really large, those critical root areas are defined by the drip line of the trees. They're all interconnected, and it basically sort of nulls the ability to get all that there. We could explore some opportunities for different material, maybe poured in place rubber or something of that nature. I guess people will grab their coffee at the north corner and then walk all the way down to the bottom corner. Is that the thinking?
Yeah, or there's going to be across the street in the town center. There's a Denny's there. There's other restaurants there. It doesn't necessarily need to be coffee from this site itself.
Yeah.
Or a picnic, like,
Yeah.
where is somebody biking up here? They lock their bikes up, they brought their lunch, whatever, they picnic, like, I think the whole field should.
There's actually bike parking at all of the plazas.
So then I get off my bike, where am I sitting and where am I gonna be able to sit on some grass and lay out and just relax? I think that's the main theme.
Yeah.
that A lot of us are talking about, like.
Maybe you could sit in a parking space and look out the window.
So, so on the bottom right, you'll see those trees that have the triangle in them. Those are trees that are being relocated to those locations.
Right.
We could probably see if maybe we can shift them over. There's some utilities there that are part of the wells that are also sort of limiting where we can put trees. There's a lot of stuff going into this site. So the ability to be able to place things, we're running out of space. It's very challenging. So if the idea is to be able to create at least a pocket there where people can activate, create a little bit of a plaza there, maybe at the southernmost end of the southernmost field, right? Maybe there's an opportunity to create a seating area there.
Somebody wants to have a little birthday party
Yeah.
and they invite their friends to come, so
Right.
a few picnic tables. I don't know, but I just think it's activated with beautiful trees, but not activated for humans. And it's the same thing on the north corner. I think that's hardscape,
Yeah.
but that should be activated
Yeah.
for people sitting there in the south. That's the only like corner pocket there.
Yeah.
Yeah, example.
Yeah, if you
No.
guys, I'm sorry.
None of the areas in the south may be big enough for congregation of people having a lunch. So you may have to have small pockets throughout another corner, such as the northeast corner.
No, I was going to suggest that for inspiration, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Underline. And they've done such a beautiful job activating much tighter space, but bringing two sides of community together with both visually and also with really usable functionalities. So should that be something that you guys take a look at as inspiration of kind of what, it's a little bit of what all of us are saying in terms of it's not that friendly, this project, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm the chair for the Design Advisory Committee for the Underline, so I've been involved with
Well
that
done.
project. Thank you. And there we created very, very small, intimate spaces, using a lot of oolite rock. Is that the kind of environment? That's not very conducive to large aggregations of people. If you think about what we did in Brickell Backyard, There we have really long dining tables, really large seating areas that are out of scale with the available space that's here. So I don't think we can accommodate those levels of improvements here. But we can certainly look to see if there are some opportunities to create some small courtyard space kind of footprints where people can sit and gather. If they so, pick up some lunch a couple blocks away, bring them here at the green area, and eat. We can see how we can create those levels of activation.
Yeah, I love the kind of imagery that the chair stated of where's their birthday party going to happen? Where, we're at a little gathering, where can those moments happen? If you just, that's on the most basic level.
Mhm.
The underline obviously takes it to the next level with sound and ping pong and basketball and stuff.
Yeah,
But
and I don't know that those kind of passive park uses, I don't know that was necessarily the design brief that the Parks Department had transmitted
No.
in the DCP. They really looked at this as a playfield. And they really looked at this more as a sort of lawn area that they could use, not even for organized sports, but more for pickup sports, as an opportunity to alleviate some of the demand. So that's why you're not seeing a full soccer field there. It really is more of a pickup sports kind of opportunistic condition. You're talking more of a typology that's more like a passive park condition, which I would argue, having designed many parks for municipalities, that if you are going to have a birthday party or something, at a minimum, you should have a pavilion there so that somebody can have shade in the event of inclement weather. So now we are adding programming to the design brief, and then, I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm unfamiliar with the breadth of the purview of the board, but I don't know how much of this then requires us to revisit the DCP to address additions of programming or changes in square footage of programming that had already been decided back.
Maybe they're not as permanent, you're taking advantage of the shade of the canopies in order to activate these pockets. And I get what you're saying, and I'm not familiar with what was written, and I don't know if the community was asking for any of these things, right? I know that the pool was big. I still think the second pool up there is where the spaces where someone could sit up and have a view.
Mhm.
And I don't know that second pool's still pretty big. I know that's not your purview, but I want to if I'm taking that coffee, I'm walking up those stairs, I'm going over to that side there and sitting up there with a view and looking over the band shell to the water, like.
And maybe as a suggestion, I know because we're tight on open space, but I'm trying to see where we have a lot of stairs. I'm wondering, I feel like there's been, it's probably an expensive suggestion, but I feel like there's a lot of successful projects where the stairs are not just stairs. There's relief landings where you can have, I'm not saying a birthday
Or
party,
like theater
but a
seating.
handful of people to sit and have their lunch. Maybe we could take advantage of having a larger landing, maybe a nook in the landing. And then maybe that also would create shade for the areas below it to, I don't know if there's room in the budget, but there's a number of stairs throughout here where I think we could at least explore if that's an
So
available
all
opportunity.
of the 3 monumental stairs actually do have bigger landings, and for that exact purpose.
Okay.
The idea was that they're located at plazas where someone could grab a coffee and go sit and just relax and do some people watching. But that was the intent with those monumental stairs. Those monumental stairs are required. They're egress. It's for the capacity, to meet the capacity of egress for the pool deck, and they are maxed. We are also limited in the footprint to the plazas that we love plazas. We would design massive plazas if we had the room. Obviously, this project has a lot of components, so we had to do what we can in order to fit the plazas and make them as nice as possible. So, but that was the intent with those stairs.
It's a good point. So all 3 stairs are required.
Yes.
That was a comment we had early on when
Yeah, 'cause there's
we were
two- there's
discussing
two
that we
coming to
wanted
the
that to
second
open
pool.
up and be more of an open space, and that was
They said
definitely.
they needed it for occupancy.
And when we were talking about programming, I think maybe the Parks and Recreation Department and community are saying we have a lot of open space in North Shore Open Space Park, which is only like 4 blocks, maybe, north of this project. So they're looking more at this site as a site for pickup sports and programmed sports than the open space that Open Space Park is, which goes for several blocks.
Yeah, there's been a lot of new parks added to this area. We have the Altos Del Mar Park now. The Ocean Terrace, the road itself has been turned into a beautiful park itself. And then across the street in the Bandshell, the south half of that lot is also a public open
Yeah.
plaza park.
So, what would you guys like to do? We have railings, we have eyebrows, we have art. Do we want to go through some of these items?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we are charged to do today is look at what the request is. If we, in addition to that, can have planning summarize a memo to go out from the DRB as to what our concerns are with permeability, with open space, with programming sports, with all the issues that we discussed, the views, the openness to other facilities, so.
Oh, and on the permeability, I meant to say this earlier. I mean, another suggestion, I don't know, was there consideration for doing like bioswales or anything? I think that could help a little bit with a little bit of drainage and then also with the visibility that we were concerned about before.
So the pervious areas that we have along the perimeter, they are swaled to be able to collect as much water as possible. One of the issues, there is a misnomer that if it's all green, the water is just going to flush down. The reality is that because you have soil and sand compacted, some water would percolate, but in large rain events, you're still going to have that horizontal run of the water, and that's why you need those additional drains. So the civil engineer does have catch basins and yard drains throughout the project to be able to pick up some of those areas. Because of the amount of compaction that's there, you're really not going to get the amount of groundwater recharge that you would want to get out of a bioswale. There's a lot of very fine engineering that needs to happen with regards to excavating really deep, bringing in large rocks, wrapping them with the geotextile fabric, and given the tight spaces, that then could potentially undermine the stabilization of the walkways and the sidewalks. Because they happen on both sides. If we had a walkway with a large landscape area where we could move the bioswale a little bit further away from the sidewalk, I'd feel more comfortable saying that that's something that we could intensely do. But given the condition that you have to have compaction under the sidewalks in a very tight space, the ability to really carve down and create the bioswale to work as a true bioswale, it's not going to be effective.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so the items before us, Rogelio, are for approval. Can
The architectural
refocus
changes.
us? The architectural changes on the art, with the artwork?
Yeah, so you have architectural features, so the railings, the parapet,
triangles.
guardrails are changing. The V-shaped columns along 72nd Street, some additional
So it's the
glazing.
guardrails, it's the triangles,
The AC canopy.
AC screening, adding some reveals along 72nd Street to enhance that facade. Additional windows on the north walls, though staff does recommend making them even larger than what's being proposed. Some changes to the site plan. So the layout of the path was always there, but because of the topography, they've made some changes to the site plan there. Maintaining the, even though it was a requirement, but they're now incorporating it, maintaining the sea grapes along Collins Avenue, the art in public places screening. So those are the changes that they've requested, and the ability to incorporate the Old Glory monuments if the city commission approves
I
that.
don't know if it's the long discussion we've had on other issues, but I don't recall seeing any railings. I recall the triangles. But where in this memo are all these, I see 7 items covered under the project.
They're they're
Well,
listed
and
under
those
the
are the ones
analysis, they're in
granted in
paragraph
20.
form, so they're all listed there.
Under which area?
If you go to they start at page 7, and if you go, the first 3 paragraphs are basically just a summary of what was approved. If you go to the 3rd paragraph, that's where we start describing all these changes.
So do we have to list each and every item that is being requested, or?
No, only if you want to change something from what's listed, but otherwise you can just approve, you can, from what I'm hearing, I didn't hear too many issues with what the changes they were suggesting. So if, perhaps it's okay to approve those changes that they're suggesting, but then make some additional, you can make a recommendation that they work with staff to activate the open spaces as much as possible with the inclusion of picnic tables, benches, chairs, and other amenities to the extent feasible. I think that would probably be a positive change. I actually really like that, the idea of using that southern portion. That portion, when the plans came last time around, they were proposing removing most of those trees, and the soccer fields were much bigger. So in the site plan we saw last year, that area was occupied by soccer fields. Now, because of the trees being maintained, the soccer fields are a little smaller, and that results in a lot more open space on that southeast corner, and I think that's a good opportunity to see how that can be activated, because it's a much larger area than we previously saw.
More gathering spaces.
Mhm.
Can we add, like, to analyze the outdoor seating in front of the commercial space? I know that we have the
Absolutely, yeah.
steps and how that interacts with the fields, just so that there's continuous all along
Mhm.
the east side there.
What was that one? I'm sorry.
Um,
Activate.
The retail.
Yeah, looking at the activation of the retail seating.
Oh, to the, yeah.
On the northeast, and its connection to the fields and
Uh-huh.
connection to the street and sidewalk, and making sure that there's adequate outdoor seating there
Okay,
for.
so let me
for
take a
public.
stab at this, and obviously you all can add in to the additions. I think before I make the motion, I think you want this, what I asked is, do you want them working with staff on all these things, or do you want them coming back to the board at a future time? I think they should come back to the board. Reason being, it's this board, and then they also have the demands of everything else and everyone else outside. And they may not be able, unless they come back to this board, to actually do some of the additional things that we're asking them to look into.
Would you
So
be
to make
okay
it
with?
easier for them and to put the onus on us.
Would you be okay with bifurcating, approving the changes they're requesting to the
Yeah,
architecture, they
yeah,
can
yeah.
proceed with their permitting?
Yeah.
And then these other site plan related issues,
To
that
come
those
back.
come
Yeah,
back?
Right.
I think the
Yeah.
site plan related issues,
Yeah.
The architectural issues, I think we're okay.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve the requests for the DRB 1161, 299 72nd Street, that we additionally request that they return back to the Design Review Board and to show improvements or changes to the following items: the activation of the open space on the northeast corner to its east corridor and open space park area. Number 2, that the northeast connectivity of the field be improved to the east corridor and Collins Avenue, the east corridor being Collins Avenue and the park across the street and Van Shell. Right now, it appears totally blocked with landscaping from ground to height, above a person's height. That we look at the and look at the openings within that landscaping. Even though we have a fence, the opening of the landscaping to the Collins Corridor and Eastview. Third, that we look at the possibility of creating community areas to congregate within the northeast and the southeast corners for seating and did I miss any of them? I know I'm missing something. Huh?
Just general gathering space, I guess.
Yeah, and for general gathering space on the northeast and southeast.
So this should be taken as two separate votes. The first vote would be the first motion would be to approve the architectural modifications. And then the second vote would be to continue the site plan modifications with those conditions.
Mm-hmm, okay.
To the architect, do you think you would be ready to come back to the, so you would be able to proceed with permitting of the building itself if this motion passes, but there are some site plan issues that they would like addressed. Do you think you could address those issues next month or 2 months or?
Talking to my landscape architect.
Because if we do, if we continue to a date certain, it would be much easier. Otherwise, we'd have to renotice it at a future date, whenever you're ready to come.
I mean, I think procedurally, we would have to come up with the design. There are a lot of stakeholders that need to review it. So CIP would have to coordinate meetings with Parks and Rec because at the end of the day, they're the owner of the project and the operator. So I don't think a month is enough time. I think 2 months at a minimum.
At a minimum.
So the June meeting would be, what is the June? June 11th. June 11th? And if you need more time, we can continue it at that point.
Yeah.
I think it's okay, but I have to double check.
Okay. Well, we can say June 11th for now, and if you need
Okay.
more, just let us know, and the board can continue.
And if they want to come sooner, they can do that as well. So it's up to you whenever you feel you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I have approved the requested changes and then then we'll add a condition to, we'll add a condition to the draft order to the approved order that the applicant will return to the DRB at a future date, and we'll continue it for June 11th. And that's for the activation of the open space on the northeast corner, that northeast connectivity and visibility be eastward connectivity and visibility be improved. And then 3, look at the possibility of creating community areas in the northeast and southeast corners, including seating and other gathering spaces.
Can we see some color options?
For the art,
And the signage?
are there any issues with looking at alternative colors?
I don't believe so. I think we can certainly.
So I just want to, no, I think I understand. I also want to say I wrote 4 books on colors in architecture. I'm an educator. I teach at Harvard exactly this topic, and I can see we have 15 people here, and one will like a different color, and I'll change the color, and somebody will. It's a very subjective matter. I'm happy to do more. I think, though, there is always going to be a subjective component to that. I think the green of the city is phenomenal, actually. I think I can change it to another color that might please somebody else and might displease somebody else. But it's not about my amount of work. I have a lot of experience in colors, both in artwork, in architecture. I wrote extensively. I teach classes on it. I just want to put forward that I don't have small expertise. I have high expertise on this, and I think there is a high subjectivity that will always be in play. That's all.
Of course, as is the nature of art. Right?
Yes.
But I just think that there's.
I think your microphone.
I just have a feeling with this color and the color scheme around the building that it's not as welcoming as a color could be, and we could respond to it. It may just be a shade level of it, but it would be nice to see it if it was just something that you were able to and then to explore, and then you may be right. We may say, no, the original color is great. It's just for some reason I find it jarring for a place that's supposed to be warm
I
and
think it's
welcoming.
light, it's sunshine, it's Miami, it's the color of the city, it's quite young actually. I feel like this is for families. So it wants to give a pop to it rather than being natural. I mean, I look here, this is, of course, it's tenuous, but I don't think it even, it's background. We wanted to have a more presence, but again, I definitely can't do the renderings. It's not initial renderings, to be honest with you. I just want to say that the concern you have is really subjective. And I think we already have gone through quite a bit of those studies before arriving here. Like it's 8-month process of more renderings, more colors, more test prints. And I do love it, so that's where I come from. But it's not coming from a point of not wanting to do more work. Actually, we've done tons of work that doesn't show. I do think that that's the right choice.
Are you, I think maybe the way I'm perceiving what you're saying is that besides the shades of the color, whatever, you want it to be a piece of artwork that is different than the building. The building is the building, the colors of the building are one thing, and this is a separate thing. While attached to the side of the building, it is a piece of artwork and not necessarily have to have the same color scheme as the rest of the building.
I think there's just a tweak with that. There's something off visually to me, and I would love to see if there was, we could manipulate it a little bit and see if I'm dead wrong.
So you could make a motion to see a color study of the building, the art in the building, the colors are, I think they're connected.
Yeah.
And we've only seen the one version of it. And so do you want to see just a subtle, like a subtle sort of series where we could see different colors?
Yeah, just nothing, just to see an option or two where we.
And maybe it's showing what you previously did. And I know the color's subjective, and I don't disagree with you. So if it's something strong, I think this is our only chance to.
This is a big building.
I know the building color isn't in our purview because that was before,
signage.
but since it's connected to the art, I think that we can say something about it and bring it up.
Yeah.
And it's art that can be manipulated in the renderings and.
Yeah.
I don't know where that falls in the.
Do you need to take a motion on that?
Or if you want to
Not a
incorporate it into the
motion,
same.
Incorporate it into the same one.
Yeah, but
but
just
do you
be the
need to
fourth
take a vote
condition.
On the second motion? Do we need a vote on the second motion?
We're gonna add that to the
Yeah.
other two?
Mm-hmm. So,
I'll second the second motion.
okay. So the first motion that was made was approving changes.
Mhm.
That motion was made by Ms. Butagavoli. Do we have a second on that motion? Second by Mr. Lester. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we have, so the motion passes 6-1. And then we have the second regarding a second motion with the changes. Again, I think that motion is coming from Ms. Butagavoli. Do we have a second on that one? I think
Including the art.
including the art study, the color of the art, in particular the green, in particular the green color. Okay. And then the second, I heard Mr. Pais. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that would be coming back, it's scheduled to come back on June 11th. And then if you need more time, we can do that. But so the changes to the building are approved. This would be just tweaks to the site plan and to looking at the colors of the art.
I just gotta say that I feel like if we're passing a failing child into the next grade. It's not a matter of you guys right now, I just feel that the whole entire design of that first floor is not the highest best in use of the space and the location, and I just can't imagine that a private sector, company would ever do this. And, it's being done by the public sector side, and I just think that it's just mediocre. We're building this monstrositous building to have this pool, and we're not taking advantage of all the real estate around it. It is what it is. I've been talking about this probably for a year, not being on a board, but to other people, and it's just, I think it's just a shame. But that's it.
Do we want to issue a letter as this board?
I mean, I would do anything I could possibly do to say, people don't want to delay this process, but it's going to be there for decades.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why would you do that? I mean, and I understand saying, oh, well, we have this limitation with parking, then take the building one floor higher and add more parking, but create a real town area there that you could watch your kid play soccer there and have a pura vida downstairs on the ground level and have a promenade there or enjoy that space. I would envision that if I had a magic wand that would have kind of like a JCC element into there, like it's an OIC Miami where kids could enjoy that all the time there, as well as doing the swimming, as well as going to the library, as well as being a real community space. It feels to me it's a pool and a garage and a field and nothing to glue it together and make it like somewhere I want to go and hang out there and spend my time there while my kids are there, and I feel that's just lacking in the project overall. And it's like, let's just get this done. We're on the horse, just keep on passing it through and moving it forward, and it's going to be there for 50 years.
So would you like to change your vote?
It's not I would like to change the whole entire project. It's not
But
about that vote. That's why I said that I'm passing a failing child, because my vote is not going to change the project.
And the problem is that we are not charged with programming. We're not charged with all of the elements that were discussed until it comes to us, and at that point, to some extent, it's fait accompli.
Which is why I'm saying I feel like I'm passing a failing child.
But the bigger problem is the programming, and why was programming done in such a manner that you have to have a garage for so many spaces, that you have to have not a passive park element to this, but more of a structured and pickup field and two pools that may not be needed if it was just for the community. But it's, as Rogelio mentioned, it's not just for the community, it's also for the public school system. So, all of that programming that's been going on for probably 5-6 years, we are not a part of it. So all that comes to us as a design review board, unfortunately, is the design, the outside. And even then, I agree, there's some limitations when you have to have all this programming that's requested, but the architect's challenge is to meet those demands for programming while taking into account the surrounding communities such as the ocean to the east.
And to echo that, all we can do is try to enhance what we see and add to it, and I think.
Which is my point. I feel like I'm just passing on, okay, next step, go ahead. Continue with this. It just feels bad.
Let me ask you, Rogelio, did this project go to the planning board?
No.
Do you know?
No, it does not. It's not required to go to the planning board.
No. Why would it not go to the planning board?
The GU district doesn't have a requirement that, the GU district only requires that public-private partnership buildings go to the planning board.
Okay.
So if this was, the city was doing a deal with some private developer to do this and maybe provide some public uses,
Then it would have
to go to the
planning board. But maybe that's another thing that, I mentioned the requirement of the city to be the leader and the example when it comes to permeable area and not giving themselves less of a requirement than it gives its residents when they're building something, but also the idea that maybe a project like this, even though it's not a public-private project, that it go to the planning board. That being said, I got to tell you, it has so much input from the community and from the Parks and Recreation Department and from the Parks and Recreation Board and then the community in North Beach that I don't know that the plan, I don't know.
Just doesn't feel good is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not something I'm proud of.
I don't mean to beat the dead horse, and I don't know if a letter even actually does anything, but it at least holds on record that we as a
Yeah.
board.
Rogelio, can you draft something for us to review at the next meeting?
Sure. I
Okay.
mean,
It's not going to change this.
do you have any specific recommendations you'd like me to incorporate, or
The ones we discussed, you know,
Okay.
where.
activate
You know,
There a motion?
permeability is the same, whether it's a public project or a private project.
Facades on
that-
the most prominent area of the project is being used as parking spaces covered with a window to look at the field. I mean, it's just absurd.
The,
if they discuss that,
the
it
issue
should
of,
be at a
of-
noticed.
Yeah, is there a motion to direct staff to prepare a draft letter to commission?
I make a motion to direct staff to prepare a letter to commission.
We have a
Okay.
second for that?
And that would be for the, so basically have like a discussion item at the following,
no, it's a letter to commission that would be sent to the commission, Parks and Recreation Director, City Manager, everybody else that gets, Planning Director, you know, where we say, hey, you shouldn't task the city with less requirements than the public. So permeability and green space should be the same requirement or at least similar going forward. One, a project like this, which is a big project, even though it's not a public-private venture, it should go to the planning board for input. And maybe it could be a joint committee of planning board and Parks and Recreation Board. I don't know. That's up to them.
Is the direction to bring back a draft for the
At the next
May-
meeting, yes.
Okay.
I think that's our way to be heard about this for future.
Yeah.
should that be done as a?
Letter to commission.
But I'm just procedurally, because you're going to be discussing an item that's not before the board. Should that be done as a continuation of this item? Should they continue an item regarding this to discuss at the following meeting?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
Just, I'm just saying it because
But it
otherwise
as a
you're going
new
to be,
item?
you're not as a new item, because then you're going to be discussing a project that is before you, but you're going to be discussing it in a moment that's not properly before you because it won't be a noticed.
And is it a public discussion, the letter that we're writing?
If you continue it, well, you already had a public
Yeah.
hearing, so,
Yeah.
but you could open
If
another public
anybody
hearing.
wants to chime
No,
in.
no, I'm just saying, you draft a letter for us. Is that public purview on what that letter says?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, that's an official action of the board. And you wouldn't be taking quasi judicial action on the land use application in the letter, but I think the fact that it's connected with the application is.
Okay, so then that would be continue discussion on recommendations to the May 14th meeting.
So that will continue.
He's going to bring a sample. Rogelio, you're going to bring a draft of the letter.
Yes.
And put it in the agenda.
Yeah.
For us to say, yes, this is exactly what we're saying.
Or amend it, or.
Add this,
yeah.
take this out. you
Yeah.
know.
Okay, so.
I just wanted to make sure, because it is, usually when you make recommendations, they're more general. They apply citywide. This is a recommendation to a specific project, so I just wanted procedurally make sure that it's on record that you're going to continue discussing this item at the following meeting, so that it's appropriately before the board. So that's why I want it to be
We will
listed as a
discuss it
continuance.
during continuances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Under this address. Okay, that's what I was
Right.
trying to follow all this.
Mhm.
Okay.
And maybe you can come back in May and let us know as to the participation, the financial participation of Miami-Dade County. Just to make sure it's not in your budget. Thank you.
Okay. We need a motion and a second for that. So I have a motion by Ms. Butagavoli. I think Mr. Acion, you said you would second that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
How many projects do you foresee at the next agenda so far?
Good question. Give us more than 5 minutes.
May we have,
Thank you.
Thank you.
3 projects,
3
and now, and the discussion on this one, so 4.
private projects?
2 of them are private, one of them is a public-private partnership. It's the paddle courts that was approved by the city commission on the 17th Street garage.
Thank you.
Discussion items and progress reports.
We have no discussion items or progress reports.
The next meeting is May 14th. That is it. Meeting adjourned.
Mhm.
Thank you, everybody.